And at Avular, we build mobile robotic systems, autonomous mobile robotic systems. And we do that in a way that we build upon customer knowledge. Because I really started this company because I believe that we need great OEMers, great brands again from Europe. And I think if I say this, that everybody can adhere to that. If I look at the past decades, they have come from America, and now China is building them. Look at Microsoft, look at Apple, look at Amazon, Tesla, and now BYD, DJI. They don't come from Europe, and I think that is such a pity. And I believe it's in the fact that we don't dare to dream anymore. We're excited if we have some technology, we can sell it to Apple or we can sell it to another big corporate, while we have so much talent here in Europe. So that's going to be a little bit of the line that I'm going to talk about. But first, so what do we do at Avular and how do we do that? Because with that mission and vision, I'm driving the company basically every day. And we have set out to do it in a little bit of a different way. And the company stands on 3 pillars. And the first one is very strong in interacting with the company. The second one is very intuitive design. So user interface, user experience, basically a lot of robotics now is confusing the operator, and I think we need to empower the operator, and there's a lot of value to that. But combining that with the deep technology that we have in Europe, whether it's in the semiconductor industry, whether it's in software, whether it's in electronic design. So these are the facts that we kind of drive the company upon, and the company consists out of 2 business units. So one is actually where we build a drone platform and a terrestrial robotic platform, and the other one is a business unit where we interact with the most innovative companies in their industry, because they're looking for a solution, and static OEMers or OEMers of the old days aren't giving them that. They're still working on electrification instead of autonomization. So we see that customer comes to us, we have background IP, we have our autonomy blocks, we have our platforms, they give the domain knowledge, we give the robotics knowledge, and together we go to market. And therefore we can grab a lot of potential in different use cases in autonomous systems, but also, of course, scale through our own products where we focus on the markets that tend to be biggest in the upcoming period in time. And it's not, how you say this in English, it's not that we would like to do that. I think it's giving us a lot of power, but it's also because Europe doesn't have the risk money in order to do it differently. So if you want to keep the capital, the cap table in Europe, this for me is a way to really grab, without too much risk, the attention of your customers and push autonomous systems. Next to that, I think it's important to note that we have done it a little bit different as many companies as well in Europe. We have gone through complete vertical integration. So a lot of business people would say to me, don't make it all yourself, you're crazy, just pile something together and sell as soon as possible. Well, that's what we're doing through these projects where customers pay for us. But if I look at, for example, we had a big talk about China. If I look at China, what are they doing? Very, very strongly vertically integrating. And it's diminishing the automotive industry. If I look at BYD, they have 15 suppliers, right? If I look at Mercedes, they have 15,000 suppliers. Well, your innovation cycle is going from 1 year to 3 years. So each year, BYD is making a new car, Mercedes each 3 years, and that is because they have to interact with all those 15,000 suppliers. So I always had a very strong belief, do that vertical integration, own the software blocks, own the electronic blocks, own the mechanics, the blueprints, etc., because thereby you can scale, you can create the margin that is necessary to have still a good cost price compared to China, or even compete with them, but still have good margin and be a profitable company. Furthermore, then you create that very strong integratability of a product that is necessary. And I think there are a lot of parallels to the computing world. I think the robotics is what laptops and phones and tablets and servers are, and basically the physical AI that we're discussing today is more or less the internet that we saw. And if I look at the propositions that are out there, I think there are going to be many, because this is going to be a huge space. And if I look at the propositions, it can either be a software that rule them all, the Microsoft, or robotics that are very integrated, like an Apple product. Well, we believe in that latter. If you have a very good integration, you have a very multidisciplinary team, and you also can focus on production, then you can make something that is very sovereign, solid, and very secure. To give a few examples of how do we do that today, because we're still scaling, well, we push our products, our drone platform and our terrestrial platform, towards academics and corporate researchers. So basically they get the newest products and start developing their application with it or their research. We get feedback from them because it doesn't need to be industrial proof yet, and they're very eager to say when there's a fault in your software. So it's kind of paid development, I would say. And then when the products are mature, we push them into industrial markets. So right now, the drones, we are really pushing into the global security market because there's a big need for data security and sovereign kind of IT systems where DJI drones, basically the Shenzhen player in drones is still dominating the market, pushing 4 to 5 million drones each year in consumer and civil markets. So I think there's a space to win, and it's a catalyzer to gain more momentum in all those other sectors. And then on that other pillar where we kind of partner with industry leads, we have, for example, Heijmans. It's one of the biggest construction companies in the Netherlands. They have a huge labor problem. They need to make a lot of roads, and even defense is asking for their network because it's a very specific thing. And they say the OEMs aren't doing, we come to you and let's build this together. And then, of course, when it's done, let's also sell it together and scale it together. And I think that is a very healthy thought to go about it in this way. But we are at the point that we surely need to scale. So I'm very eager to see that stuff is changing. We had the Draghi report in Netherlands. We had the Peter Wenning report. It's the ex-CEO of ASML. And I think more connections are being made, but the speed of it is not high enough. And I think if I really pin down to the impact that is going to be made in the next years, I think we need to accelerate a lot. And I don't have all the answers. Believe me, I don't. But that's the discussion that I would like to have with you guys. But if I look at physical labor in only the European Union is 2,000 billion euros a year. And that's why China is so very eagerly making robotics. Because software is maybe going to be a thing where not the money is being made anymore. Maybe it is, maybe not. But also the hardware definitely you need to deploy at the companies in order to make profit, in order to capture that piece of the puzzle. And if I look at what's happening now, China is pushing hardware at a very cheap rate into European and US markets. I believe all the automotive factories in Germany are filled with humanoids from Unitree, from Deep Robotics, because they're subsidized by China. So I see two major things. The labor shortages that we have, because we're becoming more wealthy, we don't want to do certain jobs anymore. Certain jobs are boring, hazardous, etc. And a robot potentially in the future can do it much better, much cheaper, with more uptime. And the other one is the geopolitical tension. And that geopolitical tension is pushing us into new sovereign kind of products. But we have to look at how China does that and how America does that. Because, of course, if you're an entrepreneur and you need to buy a robot of 50,000 euros or 20,000 euros to fill your factory, and they both do the same, then you're going to buy that from 20,000 euros. But the fact that it's subsidized and that they're trying to get into our ecosystem and trying to get, of course, our independence in the way is something we have to be very, very, very careful about. And it happened already with the US. Of course, we thought that would always be an ally, but we're all hooked on Google and on Microsoft in the business-wise and personal-wise on Apple. And that is exactly the play that China is trying to do. So for me, also to join kind of these days, I'm really an advocate of looking at it from a much more strategic way from a European point of view. We also need to subsidize these kind of things. And I think my predecessors also said it already. We're not going to do that with the subsidies that we have. And I know why we have the subsidies, because we don't want to kind of give the money to a friend or give the money to those people. So we have systems where we kind of do it 50-50. You have big piles of paperwork to fill in. So it's kind of our norms and values that we so secretly want to keep is also pulling us behind a little bit in the race for this robotic and physical AI kind of system. But still, I'm very opportunistic, because that's why I, of course, drive this company every day, because I believe that Europe really has the talent and the mindset to do so. In the past decades, I think America was always the sales and marketing engine, Europe were the brains, and China was basically the manufacturer. And now China is trying to pull everything towards itself. America is doing the same, and we should also do the same. So use the power of America and use the strategic talent of the Chinese. And you see much more lights-out factories coming up. So if we think at scale and we dare to take the risk to really invest into these things, I think we can also manufacture at the same costs as the Chinese do. And we need to recapture that imaginability again to do so. Because I think one thing for sure, and I think this is not going to be popular, but in Europe we know financial investors, and in America we know business investors, and China is the business investor itself. They think much more strategic about how to kind of capture such a market over a decade and not over a year or over 2 years, or only looking at EBITDA. And my kind of point of view on this, and that's where I want to leave it with, is China is very technocratic in its culture, and it's spending that money from a state point of view. So it's really funding supply chains, it's really funding technology in a very precise way and with a lot of capital for a few companies. And if I look at America, they have billionaires that have become tech billionaires in like a decade. So Google, Apple, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they are pushing those markets, and they are investing $1 billion into a company that is 3 weeks old, right? That's something we don't can comprehend. And they think much more in the market is this big, can the team deploy it, and can it be delivered in 3 years? And if all those marks are there, let's invest in it. While we tend to look at the spreadsheet and look at the numbers and see, okay, maybe in 2 years you're there, maybe in 3 years you're there. And that's a whole other way of looking at it. While the other fact that I see is that Europe has a lot of money within municipalities and within governments, right? Because we pay a lot of tax, and it's good because of our norms and values. We have the best climate in the world to live in. Everybody wants to live here. But we need to start making risk with that capital if we don't want to take the risk of being independent and being pushed into a corner by new superpowers like China and, of course, the US with the government that is there right now. And that's what I'm thriving towards every day with a huge team of multidisciplinary developers building our physical AI, our take on autonomy, our take on how to deploy hardware in this robotics world, and really pushing for sovereignty and great OEMers and brands again from a European point of view.
Albert, thank you so much for your time. Can we open up the floor? Do we have any questions?